Welcome to Def Diary 62. Today we're going to be talking about government, civics, and Hiveminds. Yes, we are Legion indeed. For those that may know, in Stellaris, right now, if you have your government type, it's rather inflexible. You have your ethics, etc., and they're not particularly representative, and you're kind of stuck with them over the course of the entire game, bar a few minor events which can change the ethics of a certain population. Something like the pan flute or the wind chime instrument events from politics apply to this, where you can turn a couple of pops into xenophile, for instance. However, with 1.5, we're going to see a complete and total government rework / overhaul in the game. It's going to feel like a completely new game in terms of your initial setup in government. And this also includes a bunch of additional features that are paid for, but we'll get to those very shortly. So, talking about the devs, while our old government grid worked all right, and to give you a broad range of governments to pick from, they were a little bit lackluster and not very well balanced, and I rarely felt that the government I picked truly corresponded to my own idea of what my empire society was like. And this is very true. The actions you have in-game do not necessarily reflect on what you are like in terms of government. Say you are an egalitarian society and you're actively conquering enemy worlds, or like a peaceful society and you're actively conquering enemy worlds. This should reflect on your empire as well as the ethics involved in that. So it looks like the game is going to move to a far more adaptive shape, which is very, very, very interesting. So how does this all start? Well, you have to build your own government from authority and civic. So no longer do you get your pre-built government types. So the authority functionality is how much power is transferred in your government. The different authorities are democratic, where a ruler is democratically elected every 10 years. A oligarchy, which a ruler is elected every 40 to 50 years. A dictatorial, which is a ruler that is elected for life. And finally, imperial, where rulers are for life and are succeeded by appointed heirs on death. And it's something here that I find fascinating. It's appointed heirs. So we can actually appoint an heir, perhaps. Who knows? However, in all systems that involve elections, leaders will be elected from different factions in your country. Now, we talked about factions last time, of course. And electing a ruler in a particular faction will significantly strengthen the political clout of that faction and the attraction of their related ethics, so that you can change your empire ethics towards something new based on what your government is like. Of course, it has its own issues, because if you're a supremacist empire, you want to kind of avoid having a xenophile taking charge of things, because it means that your government or your empire will be upset, and your government is not particularly reflective of what your population is like. So then we move on towards civics. Civics represent the political and social traditions of your government and come in a wide variety of types, primarily limited by your authority and ethics. So you still have your ethics and you still have your authority, and based on that you can pick up your civics. In addition to providing modifiers, they can also change how your government empire is governed. For instance, a citizen service civic ties citizenship to military service, so that only species with full military service are afforded the right to vote and become leaders. So basically, Starship Troopers, you serve, you get to vote, you become a citizen. On Empire Creation, you can always choose 2 civics, with a third being able to unlock later on through research. Now, as ethics change within your empire, so do your changes in civics. As you go on through your empire and your ethics change over a long period of time, you will be able to change your civics to better reflect your empire and making sure that you get the bonuses that you need. For instance, the example they are giving here is that the Beacon of Liberty civic has lost its egalitarian ethics. When this happens, the civic in question will remain, but will become inactive and stop providing you with any sort of bonus. So if you no longer have the ethic attached to the Civic, it will become inactive and you'll have to replace it. And this will be on the government screen, which will cost you 250 influence points, very similar to changing the type of government that you have in 1.1 up to 1.4.1. So very cool stuff here. So this should be completely changing the way you interact with your empire and how it is governed, and it should more accurately reflect on how things work and basically how things are going in your empire. If you've got fanatics, then you've got fanatics. You can change your ethics based on that. You want the bonuses based on that? Well, then you should probably change your civics and get the bonuses from that one. So let's move on here, shall we? As soon as you've got your authority, civics, and ethics, a government name is finally generated. So no longer will you have the default government names based on your empires. The government name is purely there to roughly summarize the government you have built, as well as provide flavor. And it doesn't, of course, has no impact on the gameplay. So obviously, that's kind of cool. The example given here is the Citizen Union of Earth with a militaristic empire that is nationalistic zeal and citizen service, where you have a democratic citizen union. So that's kind of cool. And again, this is very much the Starship Troopers example that was given before. Let's move on to the paid features for this week. It's the Advanced Civics. So there's 3 Advanced Civics you'll be able to choose from, and they're unique to the Utopia expansion, and you will only be able to get that if you put the money down, so to speak. And these civics are meant to simulate very specific kinds of society and generally have more of an impact on your game than normal civics do. These are as follows. Syncretic Evolution. It's basically you evolve on a planet with another species, and you have basically 2 intelligent species on your planet, and one of them is subservile to the other. Basically, it means that you have some pops on your planets that are basically workers. They have become the inept, dumb workforce for your species, and they also make excellent soldiers, but they're not very good for intellectual purposes. They always have the they always have the proles and strong traits, which makes them good for mining. So that's kind of nice. Mechanists. Your species is obsessed with the pursuit of robotics. The Civic requires you to be materialistic and then start with the robotic workers and powered exoskeletons. So for those that want to go into the direction of the synthetic transcendence feats, then that's something that you can do. This Civic provides no additional benefits and cannot be picked once removed, and that refers to... it does. Oh, it's just a general Civic. So basically, you cannot remove this one. It's the same thing over the Syncretic Evolution one as well. You start off with robots in your empire to do farming and mining, which is kind of cool. And your some of your primary pops will be replaced. I believe normally you start off with 8 pops, so I guess about 4 of those will be in there. Fanatical Purifiers. Your empire will not tolerate the existence of any other sentient life. Very simple. You get I think it's a 25% boost. No, it's a 33% boost to fire rate on all of your ships, and as well as your armies are 33% stronger. Ridiculously strong. You cannot have any diplomacy with any other species whatsoever. Xenopops will always be purged and have no effect on tradition cost. You will gain unity from purging every Xenopop that you purge. May use the Armageddon bombardment stance. You want to glass the world? Fanatical Purifiers are your pick of choice. And with the... Let's take a look here. All regular empires will also have a massive relation and malice with you, the only other exception being fanatical purifiers from your own species. So, yeah, diplomacy going to be a problem. Then finally, we're going to move on towards the final paid feature for this week, which is the Hivemind. It's an advanced civic that's going to be available in Utopia, as mentioned before. A unique authority with a very unique playstyle. Hiveminds are species where the individuals are part of the same vast, psionically linked consciousness. The immortal Hivemind rules absolutely over the population of non-sentient worker drones, using sentient autonomous drones, leaders, to extend the reach of its will. Picking the Hivemind authority requires the Hivemind ethic, and each can only be picked together with the other. With only one vast link consciousness, the guiding values of the hive mind is whatever the hive mind player wants it to be. You can have your own set of civics that can only be used by hive minds and cannot be used by any other ones. Some of these ones are, for instance, One Mind, Subsumed Will, Subspace Epphas, Natural Neural Network, Aesthetic, Divide Attention, and that's just a pick of the of the overview of the Hivemind Civics, and we'll do a video about that as soon as we get our hands on Utopia, so to speak. Hivemind also disables the tutorial, so no longer will you get those minerals from the tutorial once you want to try to get it. Let's take a quick look here at this. Hivemind's rulers are immortal. Happiness, hive-minded pups are not affected by happiness and will not join factions. Hive-minded pups cannot survive in non-hive-minded empires. Non-hive-minded pups cannot survive in hive-minded empires. Must use the AI outlaw policy. Cannot follow psionic or synthetic ascension paths, so only organic. Can genetically modified species become hive-minded if the biological ascension path is completed. Very cool. Very cool stuff. All pups from the founder species of the hive mind will have the hive-minded trait. They are not affected by happiness, as we've already discussed, and they will have full access to diplomacy and can have non-hive-minded subjects. So you can have vassals that are non-hive-minded. And non-hive-minded empires tend to be somewhat distrustful of hive minds on first contact. This is very cool. Hive minds, they are psionic in nature. The way they function and their connection to the shroud is radically different from that of the other regular psionics, makes them unable to follow the psionic ascension path. Furthermore, the hive minds are deeply biological entities and fundamentally incompatible with synthetic ascension, and they are, however, perfectly suited for the biological ascension path and make use to assimilate it later. Can make use of it to assimilate other non-hive mind species in the hive as described above. Very cool. Very interesting stuff. And I believe from all the dev diaries we've seen so far, from orbitals to Dyson spheres to the faction stuff, I think this dev diary and the things that are described in this are going to have the most impact on the game from anything in this expansion, whether or not you're getting 1.5 banks or you're buying the Utopia expansion. It cannot be understated how incredible this is in terms of changing everything. It's like having a completely new game in 1.5, and I'm not looking forward to talking to some of the modders out there saying everything's changed. We're going to need to rebuild everything. But I will leave things for today. Next week, we're going to be talking about the biological and synthetic ascension paths. I'd like to note here that apparently we haven't talked about the biological ascension path, so we'll probably get a separate dev diary for that at some other point. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other.